A few years ago, the toy company Dragon, which is known for creating 1/6 scale action figures of army soldiers and whatnot, acquired the license for Star Trek. And as part of their initial lineup, they produced 3 figures: Captain Picard, Data, and Worf. And I think this was the first time these figures have been produced in a 12-inch or 1/6 scale since the Playmates days. Expectations were high, and people were very excited to get their hands on these figures, with the hopes, of course, that the line would continue to grow and produce all our favourite characters. Sadly, the line would not continue beyond these 3, and I think there's very good reasons for that, which we'll delve into. But I think you can tell just from the in-package photos that there were going to be some issues with this line, and really, crucially, it was going to come down to the likenesses. So today I thought I'd have a look at the Captain Picard, obviously the Captain of the Enterprise, and delve in and see what this figure is made of. First up, I think the packaging is very simplistic. It's quite colourful, which is nice, but there's something a little bit missing, especially by today's standards, when we expect obviously a lot more oomph in the packaging and a lot more attention to detail. So out of packaging, I think the costume is really nice. It's very screen accurate, it's colourful, and it fits nicely in the main. But I'm going to address the elephants in the room straight off the bat. The likeness. It's not great, is it? Yeah, I mean, this is what really lets this figure down, to be honest. It is the likeness, and it's very hard to get past that. It's absolutely crucial. Over the years, we've seen many different action figures produced of Patrick Stewart, and of course his likeness spot on many occasions. The old Playmates 12-inch Captain Picard was absolutely brilliant, probably one of the best I've ever seen. And this is like 10-15 years later, and it doesn't look right. There is a resemblance from certain angles, but looking straight on, it just is not Patrick Stewart. But moving on from that, one of the things I do really like about this figure is the tailoring of the suit. They've actually used a zip to actually zip him in, so it looks really snug and tight, and it looks just like it does in the show. So I think that's a really nice little touch that they've put that in there. It makes the costume look sewn in, which is screen accurate, and I love that. I think that's really good. Likewise, I really love the attention to detail in terms of the collar. I think they've done a great job of capturing those pips there. I think look really nice, and obviously they are an individual piece, so they stick out. They're not painted on or sewn in, which is great. And of course his comm badge. The only thing I point out is that you do have to use a sticker to stick the badge on yourself, which isn't, as you can see with mine, there's a slight overhang there, which isn't great. And again, I would have rather that been sort of firmly attached into the costume, but nevertheless, it does look really nice. But overall, I would say the costume, the attention to detail on the costume is great. I think it looks really nice. It looks screen accurate, and I think they've done a pretty good job of this. Interestingly, he doesn't come with a stand per se, but he does come with this sort of footing for one leg, so he can stick his heel in there to help him stand. I think this is quite interesting. I've not actually seen this in any other figures, and I don't have any other Dragon figures. I'm not sure if this is standard procedure for those figures, but I actually quite like this because it saves you not having to have a stand that's so obtrusive and looks so obvious. And yet it does give a lot of support. The only thing that throws me is a little bit that it is just the 1 foot, so doesn't look quite right, but interesting. So in terms of articulation, he does have a swivel at the neck, so it's not ball jointed. It does rotate 360 degrees, but it cannot look up or down. Not really sure why, to be honest. It seems like a no-brainer, but yeah, sadly it is just a swivel. It does have ball jointed shoulders, but as you can see, as soon as you lift his arms up, it does unfortunately ride up in his costume there, so you do get that unsightly bit of belly, which pretty sure never happened on the show. But also it does ruffle the costume as well at the shoulder, so it looks baggy and strange and just, yeah, not right, which is a real shame. It does have the double jointed elbows, which is great, and great articulation in the wrist there. It can swivel right the way around, and it can hinge backwards and forwards as well. So nothing wrong with the articulation. It's really good, but problems with the costume. Yes, again, likewise, he's got this the usual hip articulation that we've come to love. So it does obviously hinge out and move forwards and backwards, which is great. And he does have double jointed knees as well. So again, this is pretty good for the time it was made in. Pretty solid. And I think they get top marks for the effort in terms of the articulation. There's nothing in the feet because obviously the boots are one piece, but they have given his distinctive pointing finger as well, which is great. So obviously you can engage or make it so. But I think that's it's going to be crucial for holding his phaser, but it's also capturing something of the character there, which is great. Pleasingly, he does come with an array of accessories, so he does have his phaser there, which is great. Lovely attention to detail on that in terms of the paint apps. He has an open tricorder, again, lots of detail on the buttons, which is great. He also has a closed tricorder. I think that's a really nice touch. He has a pocket that you can stick on, so you can put the tricorder in his pocket, and he also has a phaser holster as well, so that can go on the other side. Again, this is done with sticky tape. He also comes with his flute and a case for the flute. I would say again, the detailing on the flute is incredibly impressive. It's a very small piece, but it looks really authentic. And I'll admit, at first, I was really sceptical whether this would work, given that he has such a huge open hand there. I just thought it just wouldn't fit. I thought it would just slip through. But actually, if you position it just right, it does rest in his hand quite nicely, and it doesn't look bad at all, actually, to be fair. I think that looks pretty good. I mean, it's not perfect, and obviously his hand should be tighter around it, but yeah, I didn't think it would work, so I'm pleasantly surprised by that. So here he is with the open tricorder. I think this looks pretty good, to be fair. I think it's a lovely prop, and it fits nicely in his hand, and he looks good with it. Likewise, here he is with the phaser. You do have to position this just right, because there is a sense that it will fall out of his hand very, very easily, and it kind of just slides in there. But, once you get it in position, it looks really nice, and put it together, you've definitely got a sense of the character there, and I think this is a good-looking figure. Overall, then, it's something of a curio, really, this figure. I have very mixed feelings on it. On the one hand, I do love the tailoring, and I think, it's got nice articulation for the time and whatnot. So I think it's got a lot of things in its favour. That said, there are some things that the mind boggles at some of the choices they made. I think, one of the problems with the tailoring is that as soon as he lifts his arms, his whole vest comes up. Might have been better to make it one piece. Likewise, I think the sculpt is really the killer with this figure, to be honest. I just don't think it's a good sculpt at all. I think if we popped a different head on it, it might change how people feel about this figure. It certainly would probably change it for me. But yeah, let me know in the comments whether you had any other figures in this range. I'd be curious to know what the others are like. I think it looks as though from the pictures I've seen that Data might be the best of the bunch, but I haven't seen the others in the flesh. So do let me know if you had them and if you would recommend them. I hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, please do give it a like, and remember to subscribe, as I'll be posting more videos soon.